One question I get asked quite often, or I see out there a lot, is regarding stuck sheds. So this girl I have here as an example, just want to show you how I deal with stuck sheds when they do occasionally happen. So this girl right here, she just shed last night. Now she doesn't have any stuck sheds. You can see here all over her, everything is just perfectly clean. No little pieces on her body or anything. But I wanted to show you what you can do, what I've learned that works great if you do have stuck sheds at any time. Let's use this for an example. You first pick up a new snake, or you picked up a new snake from somewhere. It might be an adult, might be a juvenile. The baby ones are a little easier. One this size, if this is the size you're picking up, let's just say it's got little pieces of skin all over it, or you've had it for a while, and when it does shed, it comes off in flakes or pieces and takes it more than a couple of days or like a week or so to do. What's happening is it comes down to the humidity in your enclosure, based on my experience. I have never monitored humidity to see exactly what it is. I just judge it by what the atmosphere is like inside the enclosure, the type of species it is. Like for the ball pythons here, I tend to keep them a higher humidity. Their substrate that I use is coconut husk. And as long as you keep that damp and moist, mist it occasionally, have enough water in there to put humidity in the air, you should see some water droplets on the side of the enclosure or the lid. But if you're using a screen top enclosure, that just allows all the humidity to come up, especially if you have an overhead lighting for the heat source. But if you do have a shed that gets stuck, or you're just wanting to help out your new snake that you picked up, you just find a size tub that fits them perfectly. So what you want to do, if you have a snake that does have stuck shed on it, or has little pieces or flakes, you just picked up a new snake, what you can do, or what I have done, is just find an enclosure that's just big enough for them to soak in. And what you want to do is have them have a warm bath, and it might take 2 or 3 days. And I'll tell you here what I do. So if this snake, let's just say she'll fit in here, this works out great. So she fits down in there, she can curl up. If she wanted to be in the water, that's where she would be. And you just want the water to be as deep as half of the height of the body. So if she is in the tub there, you only want the water line to be about halfway up. That way, if she's in there sitting, there's no risk of her drowning. She can rest her head on her body or stick her head up, and it's not like she'll perish. So what you want to do, if this fits in your enclosure where you already have the warm spot, that would be ideal. And that's what I've done in the past. I always use the heat tape. It's under the tank, under the enclosure heating system. And if you have this sitting directly on top of the heat source, this heat tape. So if you have this sitting directly on top of the heat tape, that will help you keep it at the ideal temperature. I would do it about 90 degrees, like I keep their hot spot over their heat tape basking spot. And if the tub is directly over this, then it should maintain that constant temperature. And this right here will be one of your most useful tools to have as a reptile keeper, owner, just having your pets healthy. You shine this on anything and it shows the reading. It's showing pretty cool in here right now at 75 degrees, but you can just shoot that at the top of the water. Make sure it's at the right temperature. And if this fits inside your enclosure, if they want to be in it, they will sit right in it and not leave. You can leave it in there at that point as long as they can escape. If you have them out in a separate container and you have a lid on them, you might not want to leave them in there overnight when you can't check on them frequently. But I've had one a while back that had some stuck shed, and I let it soak in there for 8 to 10 hours a day during the day, and at night I'd put it back in its enclosure and then bring it back out the next day. And after the third day, it clouded up and had a nice thick shed that came off of it. So what you want to see when you have a shed versus the little pieces. This is one, and you can see there, you can even see the little eyes and face and mouth and everything. It just opened up. It is torn some. That could have came during the drying process, or could have been torn on the substrate in the enclosure. This is actually the skin from this girl right here from last night. So it's not quite completely dry yet, but you can still, it's pretty much one piece, and that's what you're looking for. Another option, instead of having the soaking option, just have a humidity box that's in their enclosure. Judging on the size of the snake, you want to make sure if you have a small snake, this will probably work. I just take and put sphagnum moss, just like this, directly into here. You cut a hole on the top, slightly bigger or twice as big as the diameter of the snake, because you don't want them to not be able to get in and out, and also make sure there's no sharp edges. So you just cut a hole on the top with a hole saw or whatever you're using. You can use a blade, just make sure there's no sharp edges on there. Have this sitting in your enclosure on top of the hot spot, and that will create a humid environment in there. They'll be able to come and go. I use a bigger one than this for our hognose, for the adult hognose, but it also doubles as a laying box, nest box. So the hognose will go into this whenever they want to get some humidity to help them shed. Otherwise, the rest of their enclosure is more dry and arid, like they prefer, and also prevents the molding if you're using a different kind, like aspen or anything for bedding. So hopefully this information helps you with figuring out how to solve the problem with a stuck shed. If I wasn't clear or anything, or you have more questions, please feel free to drop a note in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.